most of the time on this channel, we're covering a lot of slop and a lot of actors who don't know how to react to the slop when the slop does poorly. They tend to lash out at audiences. They tend to say that if you don't like their new movie, you are in fact the problem. Well, I am happy to report that today, one of the rare cases of the exact opposite of this has happened, and that is in the form of Lady Gaga, who, if I was to say that this is the gold standard for how you should respond when people look at your art and crap all over it, understanding that art is a risky endeavor and people aren't always going to understand it or like it, that this is the gold standard in how to respond. And the sad thing about it is it's not that complicated.
No,
it's really not.
No, it's not that hard to not blame the audience for your movie failing. And to be honest, it's probably because this isn't Lady Gaga's idea. She was just signed on to play a role.
Also,
it's
she's
not
got
her
other
baby. She has her own stuff going on.
Yeah, maybe she
acting
would take...
isn't even her only thing. So this was in a recent interview she did with Elle magazine, and she finally responded at long last to the failure of Joker 2 Folie à Deux. In fact, even in this Variety piece, they're still running damage control for it, saying that it's a critical and box office success.
It was not a box office success.
Honestly, it was neither, from what I remember. But they're just gaslighting us.
They said the 2019 Joker was a critical and box office success, or was a box office success. There's no way you call a $250 million movie that flopped a box office success.
Yeah.
This is what she said.
She broke her silence on the negative reviews.
She says, people just sometimes don't like some things. It's that simple. And I think to be an artist, you have to be willing for people to sometimes not like it. And you keep going even if something didn't connect in the way that you intended. It's weird. So whenever these artists talk crap about the audience, this is literally in my head when I respond to these things or post on Twitter, this is all you have to say. This is all you have to say. We tried. You didn't like it. We'll try again next time. Maybe you'll like that one.
Did Joaquin Phoenix ever respond to the reception of Joker 2?
I don't think him or Todd Phillips have really said anything about it.
Okay. She added that the fear of failing is what can be most harmful to a person, saying when that makes its way into your life, that can be hard to get control of. It's part of the mayhem. The only other cast member who has spoken about the reception of the film was Tim Dillon, who was merely an extra background actor in the Arkham Asylum with Joaquin Phoenix, saying it has no plot. We'd sit there, me and these other guys were all dressed in security outfits because we're working at Arkham Asylum, and I would turn to one of them and we'd hear this crap and I'd go, what the F is this? And they go, this is gonna bomb, man. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. We were talking about it at lunch and we'd go, what is the plot? Is there a plot? I don't know. I think he falls in love with her in the prison. It's not even hate watchable. That's how terrible it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even hate watchable to the degree that something like Madam Web was entertaining.
Yes,
just because
those
it
are
was
vastly
bad.
Different things.
But then now we have the nominations for the Razzies come out, and Joker 2 is at the very top with the most nominations for Razzies of any other film in 2024.
Perfect.
Nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Actor, targeting Joaquin Phoenix, Worst Actress, targeting Lady Gaga. They also got nominated for Worst Director against Todd Phillips, the Worst Screen Combo being Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix, and the Worst Screenplay, as well as the Worst Prequel, Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel, which is pretty much everything that goes to theaters now.
What's funny about it is Halle Berry proved decades ago what a little bit of humility does when you go and accept your Razzie in person and just stand up and say, look, you might have hated Catwoman. I get it. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to take my award.
Why did people hate it?
It was just 2004 superhero slop that it's not even Selena Kyle. It's not Catwoman.
I just see people always reposting Halle Berry's Catwoman and fawning over it.
I only saw it the one time. Now, there's other movies that came out that time which are similarly disliked that I actually consider, as much as I consider a guilty pleasure, because I don't really believe in the idea of a guilty pleasure. I think if you like it, you don't need to have an explanation. But for instance, I enjoy the Ben Affleck Daredevil, and I enjoy the Jennifer Garner Elektra movies, and I really don't care that they're not that great. I enjoy them a lot, and this is kind of like, if you take that type of crap to its logical conclusion and try even less hard, this is that.
I still think the worst mistake they made, whether it was just a full-on intentional rug pull or poor planning, them including scenes in the movie, or in the trailer rather, that weren't going to end up in the movie.
I mean, that's
the
par for the
scenes
course.
where they're on the courthouse steps and both Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga are in the full makeup, the full costumes, kicking their legs up in the air and dancing together.
Does it really bother you
that
didn't
never
end up in the movie?
happened in the movie, and it was intentionally placed in the trailer, I believe, to mislead people into seeing it. And then you go to see it, and there's a total just anticlimactic car crash of an ending. It was awful. It was awful.
I mean, I guess I've never really, look, that's something that Marvel has done for years. They would put scenes in on purpose because they were trying to hide things that were going to happen in the movies. So one of the ones I remember, if I remember correctly, I might have brought this up on the show before. When they were doing the initial trailer for Avengers Infinity War, there's a very specific shot of Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, and he goes like this, and you can see the Infinity Stones in the gauntlet. And the number of stones that are in that gauntlet is different than the one that actually ends up in the movie. So it's actually farther along in the trailer image than he is in the film. Or maybe it's the other way around, but it's different from that. There were shots of Hulkbuster, I believe, that never made it to the end of the film. But the problem is, Marvel is notorious, especially now, for like asking for 30 versions of a scene from the CGI crew, and then something hits the cutting room floor and they just don't use it. And it depends on how early you start releasing trailers, right? If you start putting a trailer out a year before a movie comes out, there's every possibility that it goes through some type of narrative change that makes it less likely that scene's going to be in there. Now, that's probably less likely for CGI because it's so expensive and action scenes tend to not be cut, I would imagine. You spend more time in pre-production, storyboarding, planning, and executing action scenes. So those you want to keep, whereas narrative story, dialogue, or even a slow motion scene of Joker and Harley dancing down the courtroom steps could just be like, look, they went a different way with how they got out of there. But it's probably not a bad idea for them to have left it in there because everybody hated how he, what happened when the trial was over.
That he just literally got rejected, and then she like lied about being pregnant, and then he might have imagined the whole thing, and I mean that whole ending was just a gigantic question mark. And not Todd Phillips, Tim Dillon was right. Like, is there a plot? I'm not really sure.
I don't know. I want people, look, there's got to be at least somebody here. Maybe pop culture junkie. Somebody who knows somebody famous, an actor. Get them the memo that this response right here from Lady Gaga is literally all they have to do.
Fax it to everyone.
If they want to not, you don't go the Elizabeth Banks route and tell men to not go see your Charlie's Angels movie and then be mad when men don't go see your Charlie's Angels movie. You don't blame the audience when your art doesn't connect. It's your job as the artist to create something that, okay, let me rephrase that. When you're creating mass-produced Hollywood studio art, it's your job to create something that connects with as many people as possible. If you want to make niche art for a small group of people, that's one thing. But when your movie is at the mercy of investors and people who spend millions of dollars to make it, usually that's because those people who spent the millions of dollars want to make millions of dollars back. To do that, it needs to have a broad enough appeal that what you're creating connects with people in some way. Look, a lot of people liked like the Bumblebee Transformers movie as something that was spiritually a lot closer to what the Transformers characters were actually like, and they felt that it was a more grounded story. But the slop that Michael Bay made gazillions of dollars because, let's face it, people love slop. Can't help it.
Just give them what they want.
Give the people what they want. And when it doesn't work, that's okay. You don't need to blame the audience. You don't even necessarily need to prostrate yourself before them. You say, look, we tried. It didn't work. We'll try again next time.
Yeah, I think that Elizabeth Banks is the polar opposite reaction to what Lady Gaga just said. However, she did redeem herself with a completely undeserved second chance making Cocaine Bear.
That is true. She made Cocaine Bear.
So honestly,
all is forgiven.
All is forgiven. It's all water under the bridge at that point.
Man, I forgot about that. I need to go watch it. I think it's on Peacock. I might have to. I don't have Peacock anymore. I might have to go find and watch that one.
It was better to see it in theaters, though. It felt like an experience.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.